Says we on. Alright, we good. You got it, bro.
Khan. Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
We're the brothers of Great Millstone Charlotte coming at you with a Lord willing edifying lesson through the Holy Spirit. All right. Before we get started with this lesson, as always, we want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakadosh. And double honors be unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us the truth and rule well. Peace, blessings, and mercy be unto the house of David. Habayafta without a hope for the elect. To you all we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. What we have on the screen going into another installment of News and Prophecy. All right. Where we go into the things that are occurring in real time in the news and linking it back to the biblical prophecy, the will of Yahweh Bashem Shai that was forewarned. All right. And we're making it plain upon tables. Right. This is going to be going into the rise of the superhuman merging man and machine. And we're going to extrapolate from this article that's found in this edition of The Economist. It's the edition. The March edition, March 22nd to March 28th, 2025. And we're just going to go into it, man, and just show you that the word of Yahweh Bashem Shai is indeed faithful and true. There's no refuting of the prophecy that John the Revelator has saw pursuing to Revelations 13:16, right, of the MOTB being that implantable device, because we see the direction in which the world is going, merging man and machine.
That's right.
Brothers, adding points?
Nah, man. We just, as we always go into it, Esau Edom is trying to establish himself as being, God on the earth. All right. So as you see on this, the magazine title, like the rise of Superhuman, because Esau understands that it's, another form of evolution that the Lord has set for man. But we know the man is talking about is the Israelites, because we are the true superhumans that the scriptures speak about. But Esau wants to achieve this on the left-hand side, which is why we see the whole talk of transhumanism, him merging man with machine and all that, because he wants to, bring in this pseudo blessing to try to establish himself as being, the chosen people.
Exactly. Yep. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this article. Let me pull this page real quick. Slovakia. I'm about to share the screen on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for me one moment. All right, boom, there we go. So the first page, and we're sharing this on the screen because these devils set up so many walls to be unable to actually access the full article. The full article is more in depth in the actual magazine itself. But it's titled Cyborg, Superhumans, and Cranks. The headliner reads, Grand dreams of improving the human race are no longer science fiction. All right. The goals, the MO of the Edomite is to pretty much set up a pseudo kingdom, right? And these advancements that they are using, these technological advancements are here, right? It's no longer a matter of science fiction, as it said, right? Can we start with that Habakkuk 2 and 2?
Okay. So the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 2. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
Right. So we have been given the vision, right? The will of Yahweh Bashem Shai, and we're making this thing plain upon tables, right? We're going into the report that the Lord has given us, and we're pretty much relaying that information to our people, right? Showing you, look, this is the will of the Lord that's taking place right now. This is the road that the Lord forewarned would be at the end.
Okay.
Keep reading.
Verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry.
Right, it shall surely come, it will not tarry. Right, and our elders and apostles have been talking about this technology for decades. Prior to the idea of most Americans or most people across the globe being privy to the advancements of human technology reaching this point.
Yeah.
What people thought was going to remain in the realm of science fiction, our elders and apostles knew through the Holy Spirit because they had the report from on high,
Yep.
right? And they were relaying that information year after year, week after week, right? Countless of videos, countless of studying, right? And now we're seeing that that vision is here, right? We're seeing that the very act of setting up this MOTB system, right? This complete technocracy is here. We are in that age. We are in that time.
Because if I can add to you, because Esau has always been, speaking of this vision, because as we, as you may mention, all right, the realm of science fiction was Esau's way of pretty much, predictive programming to show you this is what his goal is or what he wants, the future to look like. But like I said, through Hollywood and the movies and TV and whatnot, it was made to seem like this was just a pipe dream. But the whole time, this is what his MO has been, and we're seeing these things come to fruition now. You know, due to guys like Elon Musk, Sam Altman from Open AI, and all these technocrats that have been pretty much coming forth out of late, showing you that the AI and everything else is we're here. You know, so I got a quick one. This is Psalms chapter 2 and 1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" And this is, a vain thing that these heathen are trying to, bring into the earth, because you're not gonna be able to pretty much, fully come into this, thing of trying to make man and machine. That's not what the Lord created human beings to be. All right. Hey, the scriptures talk about he created things after their own kind. All right. And so mankind was created to be, from the earth. All right. So the whole thing of putting, machine parts inside of men, all right, we know that this is a form of control, because everything that's going to be predicated around that MOTB technology, the Korogma, all right, it's to control you. All right, they want to put the brain chip in you, to put the chip in your hand or whatnot. These things are set to pretty much make Esau God over the people, because the elite's going to be the ones that control the program, and the people, if they don't comply, he'll be able to manipulate them into doing what they want. Like you see movies like Kingsman, the Divergent series, and all these different things where they show you they can control the people with the chips. Man, this is their ultimate goal.
Yep.
If I can read this real quick. This is the quote, "Science fiction becoming science fact." The AI overview, it reads, "Science fiction often serves as a springboard for scientific advancements, with ideas from fictional narrative influencing and inspiring real world research and development." Right, which we understand these things are researched and developed before they're put to the masses. Right. It
Mm-hmm.
says many technologies once relegated to the realm of imagination, like space travel, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality, have become tangible realities, demonstrating the power of science fiction to shape the future. Jumping down, it says, in essence, science fiction acts as a reality ahead of schedule, prompting scientists and engineers to explore and develop ideas that were once confined to the pages of novels and screens of movies, leading to the transformation of science fiction into science fact. Right? So the things that you see, right, on TV, like the priest said, is predictive programming, man. These things are put in front of you to condition your mind into acceptance once it becomes a reality, man. Right? They're already in play, right? They talk about how the technology that we have is 50 years behind what's actually being used on a like a military basis, right, or a more what's the word, confidential basis, right? So the things that they push in this science fiction are things they already have access to. They just haven't made it available to the public, right? So that's
Exactly.
why you see, like you've seen the was it Black Mirror, the episode with the little chip thing they had on the people's heads, or
Mm-hmm.
right, all these various technologies talking about people being cyborgs or superhumans. This is
Mm-hmm.
all programming people's minds into being more accepting of this technology once it gets presented.
Yeah. because you got like movies, the old school movies like Demolition Man, um, RoboCop, Judge Dredd, these different, science, these sci-fi movies, man. These were a vision because I think you broke down that the definition of television before. You still remember? You still got that
Yeah,
definition?
yeah, I got you. Hold on.
Because that's that television is Esau's witchcraft and pretty much where he conditions the people to, eventually, get used to what it is they're bringing out. This is why he gives you the stuff like the Jetsons and stuff like that. Because that you look to want to be like the Back to the Future and all these different things, man. It's to condition your mind to think that anything is possible with this man.
Right. So this is the television etymology. When you go down to the prefix tele, it means far off, operating over a distance, and it's the vision of the future, pretty much. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
when you go into television, it's the far off vision that they see of things being of the world they see to come, or that they're trying to implement to come.
Right, right. So
Oh, and also it's like it says the
you
end
got it.
goal or completion or result, right? So that's
Mm.
the things you see on TV is the end goal of what they want the world to look like. Man.
Mm-hmm. So everything that we're talking about, these things have already been in the works. Esau's been planning these things, but it's just behind the scenes. So now that they're at a point to where they're comfortable bringing this out publicly, that's how close we are to show you that we're at the end, man. You know, I grabbed this Micah 2 until broke it back. Micah 2:1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because the power is in their hand. All right. And this, like I said, this has always been in the works, man. All right. Because the whole thing of what this movement, this technological movement that they're trying to do is all for, world domination, man. All right. This one world order is all predicated around this system of transhumanism, man. All right. Because just going all the way back to Nimrod, all right, to Antiochus Epiphanes to now, all right. There's always been an attempt to rule the world under one power structure, but the difference between the dictators of then and now is they didn't have the technology to do that. Now we see that Esau has perfected this technology, which is why he's coming out with this, man. Because just using the MOTB as an example, Neuralink isn't the new. It's not new. The chip has
Right.
been here. All right, they've actually wanted to roll the chip out since the '90s because when you go back to this thing, it was called Verichip. All right, Verichip was around in the '90s, so it's been people on the earth walking around with chips for a while, but it wasn't talked about heavy like it is now, man. All right, so the whole thing with cyborgs, and superhuman, we're at a point now to where we're starting to see these things because the technology is to where it's able to be shown to the public and the people will accept it. You got it out.
Continuing in this article, it says, I'll just jump straight to the points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no, I'll start from the top. It was after tripping on hallucinogenic mushrooms that Christian Angermeyer realized he had a personal mission to help the human race improve itself. Having passed through the gateway to God opened by psychedelic drugs, the tech billionaire wanted to usher the rest of humanity in the same direction. Nowadays, his investment fund not only champions the use of such drugs as a treatment for mental health problems, but is also pushing the boundaries for human enhancement overall, meaning treatments to make people stronger, smarter, and longer lived. He has also donated to a 101 million prize pot for scientific breakthroughs that slow aging and is helping to found a competition called the Enhancement Games, in which athletes can earn $1 million dollars for breaking world records using the sorts of doping that would normally disqualify them. And this is the sport, of these elites, right? The priest Amawan had read Micah 2:1, but when you look into the intent and heart of this devil behind all of these games, all of these prize pots, he's serious about this goal, right? He's serious about trying to set up this pseudo kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
add to that point, because the whole thing that Esau is trying to do is, outsmart the Most High to find a way so that they can continue to rule forever, man. Because the whole thing with this is they're not trying to die, because Esau
Mm-hmm.
understands that when they die, they're gonna come back in the earth, but they know according to prophecy they're gonna come back as slaves. So they're trying to figure out a way to usurp prophecy, and that way they can extend their rulership. And I got this precept real quick. This is Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. So, like I said, their whole mo is for them to pretty much uh live forever. All right, they want to figure out a way to continue to stay in power throughout this whole time. So, what they're trying to do through this technology is find immortality through the left hand.
Yep.
All right, because they know immortality is set. All right, for the elect, they know that the elect are going to get new bodies to where we're going to be superhumans. We're going to be immortal. But Esau doesn't get that. All right, it's not for him to get that. That's only for the elect. That's only for the Israelites, man. All right,
Right.
Esau, he is going to be, mortal. There's no way he can get around that. So this is why what we're seeing now, Esau is pouring billions of dollars into ways to figure out how to overcome death, man.
Yep.
Let me grab this right quick. Corner off, you got something?
Uh. Oh yeah. Here we go. Just real quick. This is a article off of RT News. It says Israeli scientists extend lives of mice by 23%. Say the same may be possible for humans. So just laying back and off that point that the priest was making, right? Their search for immortality, them trying to create that artificial blessing, because their forefather, forewent it. He gave it up for that pottage, right? And now they're trying to find a way back to it, man. So that's
Right.
what you see. All this technology that they're pushing forth, right, is to try to get that access, like you said, on the left hand side.
Yep. Let me see here. Salakia, bear with me one moment. This is Malachi chapter 1. One moment. Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4 says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the mindset of the Edomite is that pretty much their idea is they're going to continue to have their reign, right? And they've been called the border of wickedness because wherever they go, right, wickedness has followed them.
Mm-hmm.
This agenda is just going to show forth further that they are the seed of the wicked. Because like the brother Kwanawafe made mention of, they're trying to usurp the authority of Yahweh Bashim Shai by setting up a pseudo kingdom, a pseudo blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the article, it says some may consider all this quixotic, meaning hard to believe. But Mr. Angmir is far from the only believer. Human enhancement, from wearable devices that monitor health to neural implants intended to overcome paralysis, is already a $125 billion industry, according to iMark, a consultancy, and is growing by more than 10% a year. So, I highlighted that point to show that this is an industry that is growing, right? Merging man with machine. This is an industry that grows 10% every year.
Mm-hmm.
So the growth, the projection is not stagnant, it's not declining, but it's exponential. It says firms seeking to increase longevity, just one element of enhancement, attracted almost $5 billion in venture capital in the first half of last year. Tech luminaries such as Peter Thiel, co-founder of both PayPal and Palantir, and Sam Altman, the boss of OpenAI, are pouring money into the idea that the human body can be improved, right? So we take note of PayPal, Palantir, and OpenAI, right? When you think about PayPal, what do you think of, right? An aspect of buying, right? A payment method,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, when you think about um, OpenAI, you think about, of course, AI, right? And then Palantir is also an AI automation system, excuse me, you know? So with all of this being said, we're seeing that there's a connection between this advancement of advancing the human body as well as a connection to PayPal, right? Peter Thiel. So his mind is split between AI and buying and selling. He's connecting. If you're connecting the pieces together, these two things connect,
Yep.
right? Can we grab Isaiah 47:12, Baba Kushar?
And I got a precept behind that too.
Let's look at Isaiah 47 in verse 12. Stand now with thine enchantments. Actually, can I start up?
Done.
It's Isaiah 47 and verse 7. It says, "And thou saidest, I should be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of them."
Mm-hmm.
Just going back to them assuming that their kingdom is going to continue on, man, that they're going to be able to execute all these things to their sufficiency. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments, right? Because everything we're seeing right now is an enchantment, right?
Mm-hmm.
This technology itself, like it said, the brother read something about the believers on this technology, right? Because this is a priesthood, right? A left hand
Yes.
priesthood that's operating in the earth. All these AI heads, these what they call them, the tech oligarchs, right? These are all left-hand priests, right? Even these guys that work with CERN and things of that nature, right? The Hadron Colliders, all these so-called scientists are left-hand priests, right? So they can be likened unto those Babylonian priests or those Assyrian priests of old days.
Yeah, Chaldeans. It said the dude that was it Angermeyer, say he's a German tech billionaire. If I'm not mistaken, that's Teeman, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. This is Isaiah 47 and 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they consider themselves, above the Most High,
Yep.
right? That's the position they're putting themselves in, right? And ultimately, them using this technology to gain access to your souls through that mark of the beast, right, is how
Mm-hmm.
they plan to try to solidify that, man.
Right, because
Right.
the them pretty much tapping into this left hand knowledge. They believe that they have figured out how to attain godhood through this witchcraft, because it's not even technology, it's really witchcraft, man.
Right.
Because all these different things, hey, beautiful, yeah. He found the gateway to the Most High, because they say he did it using psychedelic drugs, man. This nigga was tripping out, man, off of drugs, which is witchcraft once again. So
Right.
these devils are dabbling heavy in this demonic realm, trying to figure out how to outsmart the Most High, and they think that they've done it. That's why you saw we did videos on this last year. WEF pretty much said it. Look, we're going to become gods, and anybody that stands in our way, we're going to kill. You know,
Right.
because they figured, in their mind, they figured it out. All right, we know what we got to do. And this is merging man with machine. That's how we're going to outsmart the Most High, man.
Isaiah 47:11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt, it's like, therefore evil, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. The mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and
Mm-hmm.
desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Verse 12. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail.
Mm-hmm. Con. So when we think about what they're discussing within this article about being able to improve the human body, right, and advance the human race, they're like the brother priest someone has said, they're tapping in heavy into the left hand, right? What the rest of the world doesn't understand is that they are tapping into the left hand. They
Right.
don't see these enchantments. They don't understand the enchantments that are being thrown at them. They don't understand how this is putting them at specifically you Israelites don't understand that this is putting you at odds with your power. You
Mm-hmm.
see, with this idea of quote unquote improvement, right? Because if you really want to get down to it, the way to improve the world would just be to follow the ways of the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
right? But this devil is wise in his own eyes, right? Thinking that he is God, right?
Right.
That he has to make the way for the people of how they should live.
Yep. I got two. Um.
It's a little bit more. It's one
Oh,
more verse, please.
Okay.
okay. Go ahead.
So Isaiah 47:13. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because these modern day Chaldeans, right, this left hand priesthood connected to this tech oligarchy, right, is pretty much wearying out these Edomites, these Edomite leaders. You see, with these advancements to think that they're going to be able to usurp the prophecy of the Israelites being redeemed, right? Trying to shoot shit to the moon, to blow up the moon, trying to number the stars, trying to go to the depths of the ocean, right? Trying to advance this chaos into the world with this idea of rising from the ashes like a phoenix.
Right.
Right.
This is the mindset of this devil. This is a mere part of it, but it's an important part because we understand what it's tied to.
Yep.
That it's tied to that advancement of the mark of the beast,
Mm-hmm.
advancing that image to ultimately lead down that road to the MOTB.
Right. Because to add to you, because these devils, all right, they're getting these instructions from demons. You know, the whole thing of what we're going into, and like you said, how we're able to tie this to the mark of the beast, because these demons that these damn devils commune with, they're the ones giving them the direction to move in, how what to put the money into as far as the technology. They're getting all these from left hand spirits, and so the Most High is so cold with it now. He's telling these devils like, look, you're doing all this now. See if your witches and your warlocks can tell you a way to get around what prophecy is saying that's going to happen, which is you're going to lose. You know,
Right.
so the Most High has given you that access to look into that, to try to get that, but ultimately you're going to fail because immortality is not meant for you devils; it's meant for us. You know, so
Yep.
Esau is pouring all this money really for nothing. You know, was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, Khan. This is Psalm 64:6. It says they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Okay. And so as we know that these devils are doing, heavy research. They're pouring, billions of dollars into trying to figure out how to hack the human mind. All right. How to, hack the human soul. That's why you had that guy, Noah Yuval Harari, make the statement. They figured out how to, make people hackable now. All right. By putting this technology into people, we have now, figured out how to control you. But the way that these devils are spinning it to make it seem like they're trying to do this for all, mankind. But this technology isn't going to be, given to the public to be made into gods, man. This technology is being made to enslave humanity, and the only one that's really going to be using this as a god is the elites, man. All right. So that's why I said they're the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Hey, Esau's mind is unsearchable. All right. the depths that he's willing to go in wickedness, you can't really comprehend. This is why we need Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah to take this man out of place, because he's willing to go to whatever depth that he needs to figure out how to do this shit, man. Okay, and he's willing to run through as many human test subjects as they can, as many animals, because like dealing with Elon Musk and Neuralink, it came out how a lot of his workers, they were put off with the trial that they were doing with the monkeys. It said, man, a bunch of monkeys was being abused and dying because these tests that they're putting them through is inhumane, man. It's cruel, you know. And so, with all that being said, man, these people that's into this, these Edomites and even these Jake that think that this shit is cool, man. Yeah, you're gonna find yourself in a world full of hurt when Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah begins to judge you idiots for doing this shit, man. All right. Um, and another one, this is Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. All right. So immortality was never meant for you Edomites to achieve, man. All right. So you're doing all this in vain, like we opened up with earlier in Psalm, the second chapter. All right. You heathen are imagining a vain thing, because the Most High is not going to allow you to figure this out all the way through. All right. You're gonna chip, a good majority of the world. All right. You're gonna be able to start your new world order, but ultimately it's going to come to an end, because when Yahweh Shah crafts them clouds, like we read about in Revelation, the 19th chapter, that spells the end for everything that you're doing, man. So Esau Edom, immortality is not in your future. That's for us and us alone, man. All right, y'all got it.
Yep. Come on. Continue on the article. It says, it is not just the vision of the future. You can brother hold Revelation 13 and 11. It says, it is not just the vision of the future in which aging is held at bay and Olympic feats of strength, speed, or endurance are commonplace that is exciting investors. They are also energized by the sense that America's current leaders are open to this sort of techno-utopianism and may help foster it. So they're telling you right now, they didn't point out the side of left or right. Right? They're saying that America's current leaders, right, the ones that control the power, right, are open to forwarding this techno-utopianism, this technocracy, which we see who's running all throughout that office right now. Elon, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg, right? And I'm pretty sure that there's several other lesser known technocrats that are in the mix, right? But this is showing you that, look, everything that we're going to go into this article, the powers that be are forwarding this agenda, right? Get that precept, bro.
Okay. So Revelation 13 and verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Right. Right. So this American system has two horns, right? The Democratic and the Republic, right? This is the revival of ancient Rome, right? And in ancient Rome, you had the Flavians and the Patricians, right? A bipartisan, right? That bipartisan exists now, but it says that the latter, he spake as a dragon, going into the draconian measures, the harsh laws and legislations, the executive orders that we're going to see take place in the near future, right? To further control the masses of the people and bottleneck them into this quote unquote solution.
Right. Okay, if I can add to you real quick, because no matter what political side that you feel like is the ones that's trying to figure out a way to bring quote unquote peace to America, we know that they're both two wings of the same bird, because we had years ago, we constantly bring this up. Joe Biden, when he was a senator, all right, we got video of him pretty much telling, I forgot the dude he was talking to, his name, but he was saying how, it's going to come a point in time to where you're going to have to vote on whether, people will have to put a microchip under their skin. And then fast forward, to when Biden was in office, All right, they passed the legislation to where the MOTB is pretty much being produced now. You had the was it the Biden chips or Biden bucks, whatever that was called,
The Chip Act.
the Chip Act. Yep. And so this showing you that whether you're Republican, Democrat, they're both with the same agenda of forwarding this transhumanism mess, man. You know. And
Hey,
whenever y'all ready, I got that video that Cap was talking about in the chat too. Whenever y'all already put that on the screen.
okay. If I can add to that point too, real quick, that's how you know it's both, two wings on the same bird, like you said, because in one hand, Biden was talking about America being the number one chip producer in the world, and then you got Trump coming and saying America is going to lead the world in AI, right?
Yeah.
And people they don't even put those things together. That's the same thing that they're speaking on, man.
Mm-hmm. You want the particular?
No, we can get that. We can get that video, bro.
All right. Put it on the screen real quick. Hold on.
Charles Darwin's cousin. What nature does blindly, slowly, and ruthlessly, that is to say, evolution by natural selection, man may do providentially, quickly, and kindly. That is to say, evolution by our own, or in this case, by the cloud's intelligent design. But what is Harari talking about in that last sentence? Life breaking out into the inorganic realm. It's been a transhumanist dream from the dawn of modern computing that someday we will be able to upload the informational content of our brains, or of our minds, if you believe in minds, into some sort of massive computing system, some kind of digital cloud or other technological repository.
So, bro, can you pause that?
Massive amount.
Hearing the mind of an Edomite is crazy. This nigga said, mind, if you believe in that. This nigga has warped the perception of reality so far that people can question if there's an actual fucking brain in their skull.
Crazy.
Man.
That's crazy.
Ounce of data. On this entirely materialist view of man, we will then have no more need for our human body, which after all always fails us in the end. Shedding this mortal coil, this organic dust that always returns to dust, will find the technological means to, well, to live forever. Living forever in the digital cloud or in the mainframe computer in the sky constitutes the transhumanist eschatology. Salvation by digital technology.
Wow.
Bro, that's mad. That is fucking mad scientist talk right there. Because if you sit there and really analyze what this nigga just said, bro, that sounds like prison.
Yep.
Putting the human consciousness in the cloud. That's prison right there, bro.
Yep.
But hey, that movie, Transcendence, with that's exactly what that is, right? Where he uploaded his consciousness into the cloud, right, and then he had access to all these things, but then he was pretty much just trapped in there, man, right? And that's the state that Esau wants you in, right? He wants you to be in that digital prison, right? He already has people in a digital prison by the means of these, conveniences right now. But once people start to take these devices, then they're going to be cemented into that digital prison.
Yeah, bro. And like I say, he's selling the dream of people overcoming that. But like Atazawam said, man, the way that you want to, bring that immortality in is follow righteousness, man. Because the Lord gave us the blueprint on what we need to do. Okay. Because as we constantly kept make mention of this point, immortality is feasible for the Israelites, for the sons of God, man. Okay, because that was the original state that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua created us for, right? Grabbing this real quick. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 23. It says, "For Yahweh Bashim Yahushua created man to be immortal." And when it says man, it's not talking about all of all the nations. The man is speaking about is the Israelite man, all right, the sons of God, man. All right. It says, "For Yahweh Bashim Yahushua created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold on his side do find it." And so this is the reason why, as we see death enter into the world, because through the seed of the wicked, all right, disobedience was placed into the minds of the sons of God, which has caused us to fall away from our power. All right, and if you look through the line of the righteous, you saw that the lifespan, it decreased the further and further our people went away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man, to the point to where you're seeing niggas. Hey, you lucky if you make it to 21, 18, 21, man. All right. So this shows you that, look, Esau's telling you, like, if you want true immortality, man, hey, we got the answer. Hey, put this technology inside of you, and you'll get it. But look, the Lord is telling us, if you want true immortality, all right, grab it here in Wisdom of Solomon, the 6th chapter. This is how we get immortality. All right. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 17. "For the very true beginning of her," the her is talking about wisdom, "is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love, and love is the keeping of her laws, and giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption." So giving heed unto Yahweh Shem Yahushua's laws is the promise of incorruption, which is perfection, immortality. "And incorruption maketh us near unto Yahweh Shem Yahushua." So to truly get immortality, we have to come back unto our power, and the Lord will give that to us. All right. But Esau, through his scientific rhetoric, is trying to tell you, forget what the Most High is talking about, man. I have the answers, man. We have cracked the human genome to where we figured out how the human mind, the consciousness, all this works. So let us be the one to give you godhood, which is nothing more than a snare and a trap, man.
Okay. Jumping back to the article, it says, last month, Donald Trump Jr., the eldest son and namesake of America's president, joined Messrs. Ingmeyer and Thiel as an investor in the enhanced games. The competition, the young Mr. Trump explained, embodies excellence, innovation, and American dominance on the world stage, something the MAGA movement is all about. So when you read between the lines, they're telling you, look, we're about this shit, right? We are forwarding this agenda. We are enthusiastic to have an involvement in the advancement of human merging with machine,
Yeah.
right? Transhumanism, right?
Mhm.
It
'Cause,
says,
Trump, his cabinet is full of transhumanists, man. Elon Musk being the front man, but he has others that's technocrats all throughout his cabinet, man. So it shows you this he's the guy.
yep. It says, can the combination of enthusiastic investors and official encouragement pave the way for treatments that redefine the capacity of the human mind and body? People have always sought to transcend the limits imposed by biology. Clothes and glasses, not to mention pacemakers and plastic surgery, are all forms of enhancement. Yet, the idea of making humanity better stirs memories of eugenics and fears of snake oil, right? So you read it, and this is basically telling you, look, these are witches, these are warlocks, right? Can we grab that in Revelations 13? We'll start at 12 and read down to 14.
Con. Revelation 13 and 12.
Okay.
All right. Revelation 13 and 12. "And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed."
Right, and that first beast is the ancient Roman Empire, right? the system, the image, which is the system of the ancient Roman Empire, is being exercised in the revived Roman Empire, right? This beast consists of America, NATO, and the EU, right? And primarily, the one on the top, which is the whore that sits on the beast, is America, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that's really orchestrating and controlling a lot of the action.
Mm-hmm. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Right. Speaking of during the time of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? That nuclear technology, that advancement to be able to drop bombs on somebody was major,
Yeah.
you know? And to this very day, that sword has advanced year after year.
Yep.
Yeah, because if I can add to that, because that was pretty much him trying to show that look, he has the power of the gods as well, because he knows the stories of how Elijah was able to call fire down from heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Different men of the Lord that had spiritual power. So this is his version of tapping into that on the left hand side. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Right. And
Saying,
if I may add too, you know, this is the power that he was given, right? When he was loose for that little season, right? Was to
mhm,
go out to deceive the nations, right? Going all the way back to the garden, right? The scriptures speak about how he was more subtle than any other beast of the field, right? That serpent, when you go into that serpent, it was a diviner, right? And we see that these diviners are now in that seat of authority,
mhm.
right?
Hey, even when you read in Job where it talks about the earth being given into the hands of the wicked, right? They've been given the knowledge and the power of all these things, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Cause look what they're able to do. These lying wonders that they're showing. All right, and people who are paraplegic, or I forgot the other word, where they have no limbs or whatever. Uh, they're able to be given artificial limbs. All right, they're given like a new lease on life through this technology. So this this uh this pseudoscience that he's able to bring into the earth is going to trick people into putting this technology inside of them, which is eventually going to destroy themselves, man. Because as we know with any other technology, bro, you're going to need upgrades.
Yeah.
So you let them put this shit inside of you, man. It's just going to be a continuous thing to where they're going to want to put more and more and more into you, to where the human body is not even going to be a thing anymore, man. All right, you're literally
Right.
just going to be a shell. You're going to be a battery, like in the Matrix,
Hey,
a
and
battery for a new order.
that exact thing happened, priest. They gave this woman her sight back, right? And then the company that gave her that used the software pretty much went under. So then she lost her sight, after they stopped giving her the updates,
Damn.
right? So that's exactly what's going to start happening to these people out here, man.
See that?
Yep. That's how we know it's going to be encapsulated into a one world order, man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Esau is going to want control over all of that. That's the
Mm-hmm.
goal. He doesn't want to have anything outside of his control,
Exactly.
you know? And the biggest aspect that you can control somebody in there is those biometrics, right?
Exactly.
Having everything integrated into that one implantable device.
Mm-hmm. That's why that show Black Mirror is so heavy, because when you watch those episodes, that whole show is just the name itself, Black Mirror, just shows you, because we have black mirrors around your television, your computer, your phone. These
Yeah.
are all black mirrors. So it's nothing more than a medium that Esau is using to show forth his enchantments. But when you watch that show, all right, majority of those episodes shows you the different technological advancements that they want to bring in the near future. A lot of those episodes end bad. The people that end up going through the different episodes, they end up killing themselves, or they have a traumatic experience with that shit, to show you that that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
Don't put that inside you, man. But they're tricking you into the convenience, all right, into the shit looking cool, And a lot of these people gonna fall for the antics and be taken, like it says in Second Thessalonians 2:9, man. They're gonna be deceived, all right, after the workings of Satan, man. This is what all this shit is, man. But I'll go back. Revelation 13:14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
Right. So now the goal is for him to pretty much bottleneck everyone under that image, right? Which he's done. He's advanced that image into the earth, right? The ancient Roman Empire, that system, right? But he's going to continue to take it all the way.
Mhm.
So like,
I think that was me. I don't know. I hear you though. Go ahead, bro.
chill out here, bro. My fucking technology been tripping all fucking day. You want to get this shit put in you, hey, that's the terrible. Yeah. Fuck that. Salaki, can we reread verse 14?
um, Revelation 13:14 again, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
Yep. Yeah. So again, I'm not sure if my point was heard, but that image is the system of the ancient Roman Empire, right? And we're seeing that hegemony, what they want to do is completely submit the entire world under that digital all, man, that badge of submission, that MOTB,
Yeah.
right? They want to completely bottleneck you into their system.
Yep.
So I'll continue on in this article. It says evangelists for the industry can sound a little mad, right? So they're pretty much saying that these people, they're gun ho for this technology to really be, forwarded,
Mhm.
right? It says Elon Musk, who as well as better known companies like Tesla, has also founded a brain implant firm called Neuralink, talks about giving people superpowers, right? These are those miracles, these lying wonders that this devil is trying to forward, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here right quick. And he, like we read earlier in Micah 2:1, right? They practice this because it's in their power, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have full reign and jurisdiction to make these advancements, and actually attempt to bring it into fruition.
Right.
See here.
If I could add to that word evangelist, pretty much goes into somebody who's a teacher of the good news. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Wow.
the so-called good news of Esau that he's trying to push in the earth, man.
Yep.
Yeah, because these as we mentioned, these technocrats, these are nothing more than Esau's scientific left hand priesthood. So these guys are like their scientific prophets.
Yep. Let me see here. Salakia. This is continuing on in the article. It says such talks brushes aside umpteen scientific uncertainties, regulatory hurdles, and moral quandaries. Right, and the scriptures speak about how the prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself.
Yep.
Right. All of these discussions about human advancement, inorganic human advancement, is all bullshit. Right. There's no guarantee that these things are going to work. Right. Well, actually, we have guarantee that they're not going to work.
Right.
You know, but from the outside looking in, from the perspective of just looking at the intent and goals that these devils have in place, they're just saying this shit and hoping that it works,
Mm-hmm.
right? Deceiving you to believe in these lying wonders, right, and these miracles, in hopes to ultimately bring you down into their submission, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that's why when we read, they're wearied in the multitude of their counsels, man. Right? They're up late at night stressing about these things and whether or not they're gonna work the way they plan for them to work, man. Right?
Right.
Because they know, right? They've seen these things not working, right? And they understand what the consequences of the end of these devices is, man. Right? So they're putting all their chips in this basket and still have that uncertainty. That's why we read in Job, it talks about there will be no ease in their bellies, man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're always going to be, unstable in mind because they know it in their heart of hearts that this won't work.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, these devils are behind the curve, man. All right, they had pretty much planned for the people to be chipped years ago.
Right.
So the fact that it's 2025 and they're still pussyfooting around doing that shows you that they're nervous, man, because they don't really know, like you said, if this is going to work for real or not. But they know that prophecy is coming to pass, and as we always go into them devils up at NASA, they see those chariots, man. They see Yahweh Shah's on his way back, so they're pretty much rushing. This is why Trump, in his first term, brought in that Operation Warp Speed. So these devils are just they're rushing because they're in a battle against time, trying to figure out how to hurry up and bring this in before Yahweh Shah returns.
Yep. It says, but gung-ho enhancers are nonetheless embracing three broad categories of treatments: supplements, gene therapy, and neural implants. Right? So we're seeing that again. This is an industry that grows 10% a year. It has an exponential growth, right? Where it's an upward trajectory of more enthusiasts that come across year after year, right? More people are feeling inclined to deal and dabble in these things year after year, right? Most specifically, those neural implants, right? But this is really just a concern for the flesh. I wanted to just grab this right quick. Galatians chapter 5 and verse 19. Let me see here. Salakia, one moment. Yeah, let me get this in the GNT. Galatians 5 and 19, it says, what human nature does is quite plain. It shows itself in immoral, filthy, and indecent actions, in worship of idols and witchcraft, right? So what we're seeing is that this devil, right, who is completely void of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Shai, who placates on the flesh, right? He's placating on the immorality, the filth, and the indecency, right, of the people, right? Like the scriptures speak about in 2 Timothy's the 3rd chapter, right? Knowing in the last days that perilous times should come, and then it goes on to list the tenets and the mindset of the people, right? It's directly associated with them playing. These devils are playing on the flesh, right? To have reduced the people's mindsets to be abysmal to the point where they are completely disregarding of the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai, and they lean solely into the flesh, right?
And that's how he's able to get them.
Yep.
Because like you said, these people are so wicked to where the Most High is nowhere at all in their thoughts. So when these things are being discussed as far as what the future holds, they don't even consider what the Lord has saying against it, because these things are in the scriptures, like we always go into as we're reading Revelation the 13th chapter, Revelation 14. The Lord, He's not with you putting these things inside your body, man. It's against the law. The scriptures talk about thou shalt make no cuttings into the flesh. All right, and then when you go into the whole thing with the word mark in Revelation 13 and 16, the charagma, all right, the charax, grapho, it's a direct correlation to show you that this is at odds with the Lord's instructions. But the people don't care about that, because all they want to know is how to stay, within the current confines of society and how to keep up. Because what you had highlighted here, the three categories of the treatments that he's been doing, the supplements, gene therapies, and neural implants. This is what we have seen being fast tracked since the pandemic, as we talked about with the what, all right, the what, the juice. That was the priming to get the people's body ready for the next stage of the technocracy, what they're bringing, which is this, the next step in transhumanism, getting people ready to get these chips inside of them, man, because we know what was put inside those juices, man. The L rates, I don't want to say the word, I don't want to get striked, but the L rates and the different things like that. You have nano stuff inside of you that is pretty much priming your body to get ready for that. That's why they got the purple street lights and different things out here, because you are already pretty much a product of the government. So all you need now is just those little steps forward, and you're already, part of the system.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna continue reading in this Galatians 5, Galatians 5:20 in the GNT. It says, "In worship of idols and witchcraft," right? Which that digital all, right? That MOTB is an idol,
Yep.
right? So was the juice packet, right? Continuing on, it says, "People become enemies and they fight. They become jealous, angry, and ambitious," right? And you look at the tenets of jealousy, right, going into being, envious, coveting, right, and ambition, right, also tying into that spirit of covetousness, can play on the minds of these people to look to these things, right,
Hmm.
as their solutions, as their way to quote unquote level up, right, in this world, right. But all of that is nothing but a snare, as we'll read on. It says they separate into parties and groups. They are envious, get drunk, have orgies, and when we think about it in a spiritual sense, our people are spiritually drunken, right, with the doctrines and philosophies of this world,
Yep.
right? So much so that they will be willing to cast away their opportunity of salvation just to be able to enjoy the fruits of this world, the fruits of the flesh, right? But it tells us in Romans the 8th chapter that if you sow unto the flesh, you shall die, right? Continuing on, it says, verse 21, they are envious, get drunk, have orgies, and do, thinking about orgies in a spiritual sense, right? Spiritual fornication,
Hmm.
right? It says, and do other things like these. I warn you now, as I have before, those who do these things will not possess the kingdom of Yahweh Bashem Shai. You
Hmm.
know? So what we're seeing is that these people, these devils, are pretty much playing on the minds of the people, right? They pretty much have created a system where you are going to come into a sense of reliance and dependency on this devil, right? So when it comes time for this devil to really drop the hammer and come with it all to, you know, cause more hysteria and chaos and disorder, these people don't know the standard of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. They don't see the spiritual enhancements and treatment that we are going under,
Yep.
right? To prepare for the true new world order, right? They're gonna go and trust in Egypt,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, because this technology is pretty much making it to where you don't want the Lord's kingdom. You want Esau's kingdom.
Right.
You know that what the Lord has planned for Jake. Jake look at it like, it's not. I don't want that. It's not cool. The things I got to sacrifice to be able to get into the Lord's kingdom. Why would I want that when I can get this shit now? You know.
Yep. So this article, it breaks it down. It breaks it down the three categories. So it first address, the supplements, right? And then it goes on to make mention of the gene therapy. But I wanted to focus on this point right here. It says Mr. Johnson's health experiments, he recently said he has replaced all his plasma, the liquid part of blood, with the solution of protein called albumin. He has received a blood transfusion from his son after research in mice has suggested it may have rejuvenating effect. Now, when we think about that, what does that make you think about? What do these wicked ass elites do with these children that go missing?
Yep.
That AD.
You know? Hey, so when you extrapolate what these devils are trying to introduce to the world, they want you to become more accepting of these practices,
Hmm.
right? They want you to become more accepting of their worship, right? Their ideals, because there was a point in time when this was behind the door. Now they got the door wide open and just saying like, "Yo, who want to come along in?"
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah, making your celebrity is like the gateways for you to accept this. That these celebrities will put this shit in their music videos, in the movies, and all that to make it look cool. So Jake has been conditioned to think that it's all right.
Yep. It says his intention is to minimize the biological indications of aging, although that is difficult since there are no scientific consensus on what they are. He, for instance, seems to set great store by the quantity and duration of his nighttime erections, which is not a widely accepted metric, which is crazy. This
Pause.
is the weird. This is not for real. Like this is what these devils really be thinking, in their warped mind to try and cement their hegemony. This is what this
This,
devil does.
but this is
That's free.
known. This is known because I remember, I don't know if y'all brothers that saw that video, but Ellen DeGenerate, I forgot who I think it was Pharrell or somebody they had on their show, and they was asking like, "Yo, how are you still looking young after all these years?" And they was pretty much telling them how they put the stem cells and the baby blood on their face and all that, and it's like that's their skincare routine is to stay youthful. So like you said, they're putting it out there now, so they letting you know what they're doing, and people just like they heard that and they was clapping.
Crazy. Let's see here. It says Charles Brenner, a biochemist at the City of Hope and American Medical Research Center, has suggested that Mr. Johnson's polypharmacy is likely to be harmful and dismissed his claimed immortality as delusional. Right? So, Charles is trying to tell you something. He's trying to tell all of you at least something. The attempt of trying to secure this state of immortality is nothing but a mere delusion.
Mm-hmm.
And any of you people that go along with that are also in that state of delusion. You are being misled, right, as sheep to a slaughter. I had this right quick. This is John chapter 10 and verse 10. It says, "The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy." Right? This is what you're gonna get with these guys. Right? This claim that they are going to be able to secure immortality and forward that for the rest of humanity, that's nothing more than bullshit. Calling it straight. It's a delusion. It's a lying wonder. Right? It says, continuing on, verse 10, Yahweh Shai speaking, "I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly." Right? So when you want to talk about immortality, you want to talk about true immortality, right? That's going to be given unto the children of Israel, the Israelites, you so-called Blacks, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics, right? It's not going to be by the ways of this devil, this thief, right? Who set up this pseudo kingdom. He's trying to rob you of that opportunity to partake in immortality with these bullshit theatrics.
Mm-hmm. Because look, he's using you as a pawn to pretty much get his immortality. So he's damned. He knows this already. Yep. But he wants to steal your salvation from you so you can be damned alongside him, man.
Yep. That's it. It's continuing on in the article. It says another type of treatment championed by enhancers is gene therapy, whereby new genetic material is introduced to the body to alter the way it functions. Right. And when we think about what happened with that juice packet, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was like a worldwide scale attempt at this.
Right.
Right. It says George Church, a geneticist at Harvard University, argues that humans are reaching the limits of improvements in physical and mental performance that can be achieved through diet and exercise. Further gains, he says, will require advanced technologies such as gene editing. At any rate, improvements in various Olympic records have slowed in recent years, whether related to the body's limits or to more stringent anti-doping controls. The slowdown tends to support enhancers' arguments. Right. So as the scriptures speak about how we have gotten weaker through age, right? This devil's this is his way of resolving that issue. Right. Not saying, oh, we should just go ahead and go back to the ways of the Lord. That's when everything was optimal. No, this devil say, you know what? Let's go ahead and just alter genetics. Right. We get that Psalms 55.
55
Psalm 55 and 21.
Okay. Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Right. And especially when you consider, the atrocities that Esau has committed through eugenics, right? Through pretty much biochemical warfare, right? Do you truly trust these advancements? Do you truly trust these enhancements? I remember being a kid and you would see various supplements lawsuits on TV, right? His track record has never sustained that he was a trusted person with these matters, nor in any matter, right? Because at the end of the day, war is in his heart. This is nothing more than a war against humanity, waging war against the ways of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get it real quick? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
It's Job 21:15. What is the Almighty that we should serve him, and what profit should we have if we pray unto him? Right? So these devils understand that they've been designed to move contrarily to righteousness, man. Right? So much so that they understand, like it says, right, what profit should we have if we pray unto him? Right? Because they can get no answers from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. Right? Their only recourse is to move on the left-hand side.
Grab this real quick. This is Job 13:4, just off of what both of you brothers were saying. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. All right. So, like you said, all his track record shows you that this man, all right, his MO is to kill everybody. All right, not even just Jake anymore. It's to kill everybody, man. All right. He's so much of a devil to where he's killing his own people. Okay, so here it is. This man is promising you immortality through this technocracy. You will be a fool into thinking that this will be for your benefit, because as we've been talking about this whole lesson, you really think this devil's going to allow you to have full access to all the stuff that he's talking about? No. You know, like I said, this is a prison that he's getting you people ready for, man. All right. Like the thing that comes to mind when I think about stuff like this, quoting Black Mirror again, it was episode for brothers that haven't seen it called Black Museum, and it had the chick from Black Panther, the sister. I forgot her name, but she pretty much goes to the museum, and it's a Jade that Esau has pretty much made into a hologram, and the hologram is the soul of a Jade who you pretty much the whole thing you're in there doing is torturing him, and he can't die. So you go to the museum and you torture the nigga for however long you do, and then just like you leave, somebody else come and you just torture this man. So his whole existence is to feel pain, but he can never die, man. That's what Esau wants to do to the people. That shows you that this man he's a sicko in the brain, man. You know. So this is why at the end of the day, there's nothing that of value that this man is going to bring forth, which is why you a fool if you think you're going to obtain immortality through his means, man. You'd be better off trusting the Lord.
Yep. Continuing on in the article, Salakia, 1 second. It says only one genetic enhancement, just the last paragraph, only one genetic enhancement is known to be publicly available. A firm called MiniCircle has developed a method to introduce new genes into the body using loops of bacterial DNA called plasmids. It has harnessed this technique to induce the body to produce more follistatin, a hormone that, among other functions, stimulates muscle growth. As usual, most of the underlying research was conducted on mice. Mr. Johnson, the immortal tech mogul, received MiniCircle's follistatin therapy last year at a clinic at Roten Island off the coast of Honduras. The intention, as well as bulking up, was to delay the onset of aging and even lengthen the ends of chromosomes, which may be an indicator of longevity. This nigga's crazy. Let me share the next page. It says the location of the clinic in the semi-autonomous town of Prospera was no accident. It is part of a special economic zone with less onerous regulation than the rest of Honduras. Let me look this up real quick so I can. Onerous regulation. Onerous meaning involving an amount of effort and difficulty that is oppressively burdensome. So there's few regulations in this area than the rest of Honduras. it has become known for allowing medical procedures that might not be permitted in other jurisdictions. And just speculating, if you're doing this type of crazy shit, who knows what else you got going on,
Yeah, because you
with these
got to
type
think
of
about it.
guys.
The amount of people that go missing, they're probably doing human experiments. Taking people's organs and doing all type of shit to them. So like we said, the heart of this man is deep, man.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, because we know, right? They used Jake during slavery to advance the medical field. So
Right.
now that that's so-called illegal, quote unquote, right now they have to go through these backdoor means in order to accomplish these same things. So they wouldn't understand all they talk about using mice and monkeys and pigs. We know that they're using these trafficked children and right
Mm-hmm.
these people who, like you said, who get disappeared. Right, that's how they're accomplishing these things. Right?
Yeah, because it said in Honduras, you already know, man, people ain't checking for nobody out there like that. So if somebody go missing out there, ain't nobody looking for them.
Right.
Yep. Cornwall, could you grab Job 13:4? I'm gonna grab this right quick. This is Isaiah 29 and verse 15. It says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh." Right, these guys is over in some discreet, autonomous town doing who knows what.
Right.
Right, but Yahweh Bashim Yahushai sees everything. It says, "In their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" Right, because these devils is doing again who knows what to try and advance their hegemony, to try and set up a pseudo kingdom, right, to establish pseudo immortality, right, storing your brain into the cloud. There's all type of crazy shit, man.
Yeah, 'cause that's what they're. That's why you have like the cryo. I forgot the word where they like freeze the body, like they said, quote unquote. They did with Walt Disney, where they'll try to freeze the body and preserve the mind. So when they perfect this technology, they can unthaw them and then upload the person's mind into the cloud or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
God. You want that now?
Okay.
So Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value.
Right, forgers of lies. This is what they are doing. They're trying to present themselves as though, we've ascended to a place in our hegemony that we are able to achieve what was once seen as inconceivable.
Right.
Right? Hey, the Lord is going to give you just enough power to really hang yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you want to go ahead and do all of these advancements. All right, go ahead, but it's but so far that you can go. Right? The scriptures tell us that there's bounds that have been set in which you cannot pass. Right? So you'll be able to achieve, like the brother priest Amawan had made mention of earlier in the lesson, implanting certain individuals on the earth, right? You'll be able to do that, but you're not going to be able to enjoy that reign, right? Because ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to be in straits at that time.
Yeah, that's the word.
It's going to be difficult.
Cryogenics. That's what I was trying to say. I couldn't think of the word. Brother GMS as it's written to put that up there. So that's what it's called when they like freeze the people and try to preserve them.
Yep. Big ass fucking Futurama episode.
Hey, but even with that, I'm glad you said that show because that is one of the shows that since the 90s, Esau has been showing you the direction they want society to go. Because when you look at that show, that's what the whole infrastructure, what they say. Because when you watch the first episode, what happened? They chip fry, and then they had the robots and everything afterwards, bro. So they just go to show you, man. Esau has been telling you what he wants to do.
Yep. Now check this out. It says the private firm that runs the city includes among its backers Mr. Altman, Mr. Thiel, and Mark Anderson, a celebrated venture capitalist. Now, we read earlier about Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, right, who are connected to PayPal as well as
OpenAI,
Palantir, and OpenAI, right? So what are these guys doing? These people that are these people that run these major companies, these Fortune 500 companies, right? These government officials, right? Everyone is involved and on board, right? Now it goes on to say, it says, The government of Honduras, however, is trying to rescind Prospera's special status. So what did the Honduras government find out that got them feeling that type of way, right? It says, lastly, a third form of treatment championed by enhancers is BCIs. These can collect and analyze signals from the brain or send signals to it. They can be headsets or invasive implants inserted into the brain itself. Although a new technology, they have already been used to achieve surprisingly sophisticated results. Scientists have been able to decode activity in the area of the brain that processes visual information to work out what kind of images people are looking at, and even reconstruct those images in some cases. So the type of access and technology that these devils have reached is crazy, right? To be able to look, to be able to capture the image of what a person is actually thinking, but not only to control, not only to be able to see what it is that they're thinking and actually make an image, but to be able to reconstruct that. That's saying that you can reconstruct that thought.
Yeah. This is not far fetched because we brought this out during the demic. That video that Esau's tried to hide with Bill Gates talking about the God gene, but they figured out, it's a gene in the brain, which is your pineal gland, to where it's like fanatic believers of God. It pretty much they figured out how to calcify that to where if you got that juice, they was able to sever that connection with the Lord, man. So they've done, like we read earlier, they did a diligent search, man.
Yep. It says, continuing on, an implant developed by Mr. Musk's firm Neuralink has allowed a paraplegic to operate a computer with his thoughts. Mr. Musk says that it should soon be possible for brain implants to allow disabled patients to move artificial limbs as well. Neuralink is also developing an implant to restore sight to the blind, although it has not yet started human trials. In the long run, however, Mr. Musk wants not just to overcome disabilities, but to increase patients' mental powers. He hopes to use BCIs to connect human brains to AI, massively augmenting reasoning capability or capacity and knowledge, right? So this is that lying wonder, right? Could we grab that in 2 Thessalonians 2?
Yeah, because that's them trying to, bring forth superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
human augmentation to bring you beyond the physical limits of what this body can actually do.
Okay. It's 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders.
Yep. He is working after his coming is after the working of Satan, right? And when you go into Satan, going back to Shaitan, it is adversary, right? So this devil is completely adverse to the ways of Yahweh Shemal Shai, right? Because as we read up, he's the one that's sitting he wants to sit in the seat of the Most High, right? So everything that he's doing is he's attempting to set up a pseudo way of establishing his hegemony.
Right.
Right? It says that the latter, it says, all powers and signs and lying wonders, right? His powers, his signs, his lying wonders are adverse to the true God of heaven and earth, right? He's trying to present himself like he's in control, like he has authority, right? But he's nothing more than a tool in the shed.
Yep.
You can read the verse 10, bro.
Okay, Kaka. 2 Thessalonians 2:10. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Right. That they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. See, this devil is pretty much setting up this hegemony to where he wants you to chase after him and not realize that your opportunity of salvation is right there at the door.
Right.
You see? This devil wants you to think that his hegemony is going to continue when his hegemony is at its very end.
Right. That's it. Like it says here in the NLT, it says he will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them, right? But he's using every manner in which a way possible, right, in order to deceive people, man. Right? He's gonna get deep in his bag of tricks in order to captivate the minds of the people into being accepting of this device, man.
Yeah, because this is what I said earlier. He's disillusioned the mind of the people to where they can't see the Lord's vision.
Right.
All they can see is the carnally what's going on, and Esau bringing forth these lying wonders. The people are going to be more inclined to go in that direction than what the Lord says He has in store for the people, man. People will quote scriptures like Jeremiah 29:11. The Lord says He has good things stored up for us, and think, well, the good things it's talking about is the shit of this world. So if Esau is talking about bringing immortality through science, then the Lord must want me to go this way. Nah, man. The shit that this nigga is doing, like Tazwan said earlier, this isn't tested. It's a pipe dream that is gonna fail, because as all Esau's technology is all flawed, it's always gonna need upgrades. It's always gonna be defects. There's gonna be people that know how to hack it. It's showing you that if you think that this is the way, man, you are a retard, man. Like straight up.
Facts. Yep. Jumping back to the article, it says he hopes to use BCIs to connect human brains to AI, massively augmenting reasoning capacity and knowledge. Investors seem enthusiastic about this vision. Neuralink, which is privately held, has secured several rounds of funding, including one in 2023 led by Mr. Thiel's investment fund. Now, one thing I want to mention is that the way how with these Edomites work, they like to set things up with a hedge fund, a trust, a private equity firm. They like to funnel their money through different avenues that disassociate themselves from actually being directly tied to these things.
Exactly.
Right. So I want to just make that point because it says Macers, Angmeyer, and Thiel have also invested in another BCI firm, BlackRock Neurotech. Now, when you read that, you automatically think of BlackRock, right? But when you go to Google and you search on BlackRock, right? BlackRock Neurotech, on the FAQ for BlackRock Neurotech, it says BlackRock Neurotech is not owned or affiliated with BlackRock Investments. The Google AI overview says BlackRock Neurotech is a separate company, and BlackRock has invested in it through its venture arm, Tether Evo Tether. Tether, a digital asset industry leader, is now the majority stakeholder in BlackRock Neurotech. So it's trying to hit the little sidestep on the FAQ of BlackRock Neurotech's page saying, no, we're not affiliated with BlackRock Investments. Shit, AI said elsewise.
Right. It's that plausible deniability, right?
Right. Like they did with the juice, because in case some shit happens, nigga get the chip and then nigga get hacked. Now he got ads. We ain't responsible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It says a third Synchron counts Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, and Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, among its backers. So you got all of these top dogs. They're talking about these topics at summit meetings. They're talking about these topics on panel discussions, on late night talk shows. Who the fuck want to see Bill Gates on a late night talk show? But they're talking about the inevitable future, right? Because this is what they are backing. You don't just go around talking about these topics all willy-nilly for no reason unless you are serious and dead set on accomplishing that endeavor.
Yeah.
Like the brothers always make mention of the revelation of the method.
Yep.
Right? Letting you know beforehand everything that they're about to unveil.
Yep. That's why we brought that article out, from the Daily Sceptic. The new scientific priesthood wants complete control of what we're told. All these names that the brother Tazwan just read, these are all these left hand, witches and warlocks that are being used to usher in this new world order, man. All right. So all this is just putting things in perspective to let us know where we're headed, man.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
God, I'm gonna continue reading in on this article, Salakia.
Mm-hmm.
And all my shit bugging today. What the fuck? Can we grab Revelations 13 and 16, Baba Kusha?
Yeah, I had it on deck right here. Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Right. So you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you have this implantable device. Right. This is going to be directly tied into how you are able to access the markets. Right. This is going to be directly tied to CBDC. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we see Trump actually. Let me see if I can find this. Trump is actually backing. He's backing another form of currency. This digital. Let me see if I can grab this article right quick. Where is this at? Okay, brother, speak right quick. Let me try and find this article.
Con. If I can say, because as you're reading the whole thing of what they're trying to do with this Karagma, all right, all your information is going to be on this chip, because everything that this technology is pretty much being predicated toward with this new system is all going to revolve around this beast technology, man. All right. So your medical records, your wallet, your personal information, all these things are all being put inside this chip, man. And to where you're not gonna need an actual wallet no more, man. Jeff Bezos, as you know, we've been talking about for the last few years, you having these Amazon Fresh stores to where it's already conditioning you to, do the scan and pay. To where if you go in those stores, they said it's over like 100 some cameras in them stores. So the moment you pick up an item off the shelf and put it into your cart, you're already paying for the item, to where you don't have to go any checkout. You come in, shop, and come right out, and you've already completed your shopping, man. So this is the get the people's minds prepared for this shit, because this Karagma is the catalyst to enslave the whole the world under, man, because these elites are going to be the ones that have control over this chip.
Yep. Yeah. So the currency that Trump had recently backed was stable coins, which he is pegged to real world assets such as the dollar, and they're blockchain based digital crypto assets designed to maintain stability amid the often volatile cryptocurrency market. So, I mean, ultimately, it's all tied to the inevitable blockchain transfer
Yep.
of transactions, right? Because let me see if I could pull this video right quick. Bear with me one moment. It's one of my go tos right here. Let's see.
And man, they trying to crash the economy, man. I believe it was the same magazine that we're in now, where the cover had Trump standing on that pile of money with the gasoline. I
I
want to
think it
say,
was The Economist. It might have been Times.
it was one of the two. I can't remember, but that just show you he's with it. Musk has said it. He wants to crash the economy, so him backing this blockchain, cryptocurrencies, that's the beginning steps for the MOTB, man.
Right.
Everything and all roads point towards the MOTB.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, that's a good video.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system.
And that right there, what always underpins a world order is the financial system.
Yep.
It's a new order. It's a new world order. Are they going to keep the existing financial order? No. This is a new system. It's a new age of buying and selling that they're preparing to unveil.
Mm-hmm.
I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in 71. And so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also
It all leads to control, man.
That's it.
Right? They want full unregulated authority and control.
Exactly.
So I'll jump back to the article. We finish out a few more points, and that'll pretty much be it. Let's see here. It says, in addition to treating conventional ailments, wearing BCIs too are intended to enhance. Some devices promise to help users become calmer, more focused, and remember more. Another claims to elevate your performance by increasing alertness. There are hopes that BCIs of this sort could detect distraction or fatigue and thus improve workers' performance. That shit sound like slavery.
It is slavery.
Yep. It says the
Make you a robot.
jurisdiction. Yep. That's it. The jurisdiction where BCIs are being developed most eagerly is China. China. Where multiple trials are underway involving monkeys and humans.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And did not that devil Klaus Schwab say that China is the standard? Right?
Mm-hmm.
It says Chinese scientists recently claimed to have developed the world's first non-invasive two-way BCI, allowing a drone and human pilot to communicate with one another. The government has also issued various regulations to hasten the adoption of BCI. So there have been various regulations to hasten, right, this adoption of technology.
Right.
You see? Could the brother grab Daniel's 12:1? Because too, just considering this, imagine if you have in the black market ghost, like how they have things like ghost guns and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, imagine if they had a ghost drone, a ghost BCI doing two-way interference. Like that shit could be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Niggas just go on a T attack.
Right. God, this is Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Right. So, you got these tired ass niggas talking about, oh, we already went through Jacob's trouble. Haven't we been through enough? No. No. Do you not assess the times and seasons that we're living in? If you look at your scriptures, if you have a Bible that has scriptures, Daniel's 12:1, Matthew 24, and Jeremiah 30:7 will all show as cross references to show further proof that Jacob's trouble has not taken place yet.
Right.
This is that time that we are entering into because we see the signs that the Messiah said would take place. Right? This coincides with that. This technology being unveiled. It's going to be so severe that Michael, the archangel, is going to have to stand up for the elect of Israel. Lord willing, to be a part of the elect.
That's right.
Because the solutions that we are going to have is not going to be available outside of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. No. So continuing on, Salakia, it says, He has complained in the past that the FDA is suppressing research into stem cell therapies. Trump has nominated Jim O'Neill, a long-term lieutenant of Mr. Thiel and a longevity enthusiast, as one of Mr. Kennedy's deputies. He too has criticized the FDA as unduly cautious and licensing experimental treatments. So, mind you, all of these guys are in a cabal. They all know each other. They all rock with each other. They all hang out. They all negotiate, right? It doesn't matter of what seat or of authority that you hold. Everyone is in the same cabal. They all
Yep.
moving together,
Yep.
right? Now, as we read in the beginning of the article, right, about the enhancement games, right, tied to that devil, Shalakia,
Angermeyer or whatever the name was.
yep, Ingermeyer. This guy, Aaron D'Souza, the head of the enhanced games, thinks America's new leadership will unleash a technological revolution. Quote, there's big moves in play, he says. So when you consider all of the things that we've read, right? This administration under Nero Trump, this is that cruel Lord, right?
Mhm.
This is we are seeing that transition and it is happening fast. Right. Can we grab Revelations 12 and 12 and Revelations 3 and 10? Baba Kusha and Revelations 3 and 10, we'll read that in the NLT.
I got Revelation 12 and 12.
Can we grab that?
Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
This devil knows he has a short time. It's only but so much longer that he has to reign in the earth. It's only but so much longer that he has to try and establish his plans, you know?
Mhm.
So as any person that's rushing to do a project, you know, you got that one person, that nigga wait all week long to do a project for work or school. Now that
Mhm.
nigga just rushing. It's gonna be sloppy, but
Mhm.
shit, he gonna try his hardest.
Mhm.
Right.
That's why it's gonna be so chaotic.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I
It's
said, they're
rough.
behind schedule.
Right.
Yep.
And that's why they had a couple years ago they had an article that was talking about how they're accelerating uh, their plans. Right. So
Mhm.
when they were talking about Agenda 2030, it's really Agenda 2020 something, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when they want these things to start taking place.
Trump came in, bringing in Project 2025 and all. These agendas are all them fast tracking, bringing this new world order in because they know that they're racing against the clock.
Bro, and this shit happening quick. We're just now hitting 100 days under this new administration.
Right.
The amount of shit that has taken place in 100 days.
Damn.
When they were going through the executive orders, they were like, "Yo, this is the type of shit that you see happening in the span of one administration.
Mhm.
What he's done within a matter of weeks."
Uh-huh.
So as you know, again, adding credence to what Akim are saying, this devil is fast tracking every plan of action.
Mhm.
And with these individuals that we see that are in these positions of influence to rip down the fabric of the quote unquote laws and legislations and regulations that are in place, is going to allow these plans to get fast tracked even more.
Yep. Yeah. Project Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. This
You get that Revelations 3 and 10.
okay. Revelation 3 and 10 NLT. Because you have obeyed my command to persevere, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to this world.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is going to be a great time of testing, right? When the world as you know it is going to move past the existing order that everyone has known,
Mhm.
right? And it's going to go into a straight technocracy where you're going to have to pretty much bend the knee to the biometrics. You're going to have to bend the knee to that digital all. It's not going to be any way that you can get around that if you want to be able to buy and sell or
Yep.
have a quote unquote sense of normalcy. And another thing too, don't trust this devil. Just because the nigga say you take the chip, you gonna be able to buy and sell, nigga. That shit don't mean you gonna be able to buy and sell.
Right.
Your ass might not be able to buy and sell shit.
You might immediately die after taking that thing, man.
Bro, it's a cyanide. It's cyanide in the fucking chip, bro. So if you eat, let's say he do allow you to, abide in the system. If you start to rebel, he can just push a button and you die.
Yep.
You'd be a fool.
Right. Hey, remember the scripture speak about the grievous sore?
That too.
Yep. That shit gonna have niggas down bad.
Pussy
March Madness gonna be all fucked up. niggas parlays gonna be cooked. But we joke, but this is a serious matter, man. Our people they make light of this situation, but we can't stress the importance of repentance enough, right? And making your calling of election sure, presenting your body as a living sacrifice, and just staying on the straight gate. It's a position of difficulty, but look at what these people are preparing to do. There's no other out, right? In conclusion, in this last paragraph, it says proponents of enhancements at any rate are optimistic. Mr. De Souza was among the participants at a recent conference in Britain at which enhancement was heralded as both a right and moral imperative. As he puts it, we have the ability to overcome the weakness of our feeble biological forms and become something more. The enhanced games, he says, will redefine what aging is about. He wants them to be a popular spectacle and to receive lots of attention. That might help normalize and popularize the idea of enhancement. I believe in superhumanity, he declares. The rest of us will soon have the chance to decide if we do too.
This man is crazy.
Indeed he is. Indeed he is. But that's pretty much it.
I got a closer.
Okay.
Proverbs 24:20. There shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. Immortality is not about to be given to you damn devil, man. Or any of you idiots that go along with his whole system, man. All right? Your candle will be blown out when Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, all right, brings the judgment in the earth. And you niggas will all be destroyed if you go along with this system, man.
That's right.
That's it. Yep, that's pretty much all I have.
Con. Hey, Lord willing, man, this lesson was edifying. All right, so with that, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.